What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Now in this video I wanted to make a follow-up to one that I had posted previously where I built this system that I have right here in front of me. This is my IQUNIX ZX-1. So if you missed my video where I built this, we established that it was a good looking case and relatively easy to build in, but this video is going to be more about the thermal performance and what you can expect. Without giving too much away, I just want to say that I am pleasantly surprised with the thermal performance that I've been getting. So, before we get started with that, let me just walk you through the components that I have in this system. So first, let me just get this side panel off. I'm using the Ryzen 9 5900X processor, and that's cooled by the EK240 Basic AIO, since this is the water-cooled version of this case. The processor is sitting in the Asus X570i motherboard, along with 32 GB of Crucial Ballistics RAM, and that's all being powered by the Corsair SFX 750W power supply. So let me just flip it around to the other side panel and I will take this off as well. And whoa, how did that get there? I am kidding, of course. Sorry for my terrible acting. But in the time since I first built this computer, I was able to get my hands on the Asus TUF RTX 3070. So just a little bit of a step up from the GTX 1650 that was in here previously. This card in particular was a little bit of a challenge to fit inside the case due to its size, but it just does sneak in there. I'll also be working on a separate, more in-depth video if you guys have some of the larger RTX 30 series cards that you want to use with this case. So that should be coming to the channel shortly as well. As I'm sure you guys are aware, the IQUNIX ZX-1 is a sandwich style layout, and in general I would say the sandwich cases do get a little bit of a reputation for running hotter than other designs, but I'm not sure it's always deserved. If you're asking me what I think the best setup for this case would be, I would tell you that it's two fans up at the top of the case underneath the radiator, pulling in fresh air, and then hot air being exhausted through the bottom of the case by a fan mounted underneath the power supply. So now we get to the most important part of the setup, and the thing that is really going to affect your temperatures is the graphics card. So you're going to want a GPU that has all the fans on one side so it can directly exhaust out of the side panel. I've seen a number of other builds that utilize the sandwich style layout and the RTX 3080 or 3090 Founders Edition. The cooler design on these cards places a fan right where the spine of the case is, which leaves these GPUs struggling to keep their temperatures under control as they have very little access to fresh air. I'll walk you through the benchmark numbers in just a second, but let me first start off with some temperatures that I observed on some of my longer gaming sessions in Dirt Rally 2.0. So after about 2 hours, my CPU reached a maximum temperature of 47 degrees Celsius, and the graphics card was also similarly cool, settling in at 61 degrees with the settings set to Ultra. Let's get into some real benchmarks then, first starting off with a full CPU workload in Cinebench. I've run this test 3 separate times and get extremely acceptable results, with the CPU reaching a maximum temperature of 51 and the GPU running a very cool 30 degrees. Next up, we'll stress the GPU in superposition. The cinematic quality of this test always makes benchmarking just a little bit more exciting, and actually there's some dramatic music to this as well that I've removed for the purpose of this video. Again, the results here are very encouraging, with the GPU reaching a maximum temperature of 63 and the CPU at 43. When you really think about it, these results make a lot of sense, especially with how much venting is provided on the case. So starting with the side panels, there's a little bit of variation in the holes for airflow. So they are the largest at the center of each side panel and kind of taper off as you get to the edge. There's quite a lot of venting provided at the top and bottom as well, and the case is actually quite open. And there's even a small vent at the back, and in fact the only surface that doesn't have any cooling capacity is the front. So now that we've established that the temperatures are quite good, let's talk about noise. So I'll be quiet here for just a moment to give you an idea of what the system sounds like ramping up to a full workload. Just to sum everything up, I think the most important thing that you can do is to buy a graphics card that has all the fans on the same side. That way you can directly exhaust out of the side panel with no issues. In fact, there's a lot of overhead here on both the CPU and the GPU for things like overclocking, if that interests you. Everything that I have here is functioning at its base clock speed with normal fan curves as well. So I hope that this video helped, especially if you are considering this case and a little bit scared away by some of the thermal performance that you've seen on other sandwich style layouts, but I can confirm that everything here looks pretty good. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you again in another video very soon.